Today is the day. We are finally trying out the newest Descendant, Harris. We have seen what she can do in the dev stream, but now it's our turn to put her to the test. But before we get into the gameplay, let's talk about the grind. We never buy Descendants, we always grind for them. So here's how the process went this time. Getting Harris honestly wasn't that bad for me. I even managed to get 2 her parts in one go and only had to target reward one specific piece. The real problem, like we mentioned back in the Hive Master video, was farming the 300 organic matter you need to craft her. That part was rough. The lowest drop I got was 4, the highest was 12, and on average I was getting around 7 per run. It felt slow and repetitive. By the time I had all of the Harris parts, I was still missing over 150 organic matter. Then, out of nowhere, one run dropped 100 in one go. No clue if that was a bug or just crazy luck.
For me, it was basically exactly the same as it was for you. The only difference, I think, because we got the parts, like the actual parts to craft her at about the same time, is that, and I talked about it with the Hive weapon, I got an extra one of those surprise 100 materials at the end of one of the times we ran the dungeon. So I got 2 of them. So I had an extra 200 and you only got an extra 100. So that was really the only difference. Now, we've grinded quite a bit to try to finish the weapon and I never got it again. So it might be really bad for you or it might be just medium. I don't know. For me, it was actually not that bad and I have really no complaints about it.
And now guys, it's our time to test this Descendant. We decided to make kinda like a budget build. We couldn't fully catalyze it yet, we still need to put way more time on her. We don't have a trigger module, we don't have the arcade tuning even unlocked or even 1 point in it. We are missing a lot with her. We have some of the basic catalysts we wanted to use with her. Like for example, we were trying to make her talk skills stronger. We were trying to make her survivability better since she had to get so in the fight, and then at the same time get her skills quicker back and then have a decent range.
So with Harris, she, from what we saw with the dev live stream, she kind of seemed like she was going to be a combination of different Descendants. And while after using her a little bit, she does feel like that, she still kind of feels like her own thing. Her skills, we went over this in the dev stream, but I've seen some people kind of building her for fighting Colossus and stuff, and maybe it's similar to what we're trying to build into, but we're missing, we put 2 catalysts in and an energy activator, we have no arcade tuning, and no trigger module, so she could be a lot better obviously, but she still felt pretty good. So her first skill, we use that quite a bit, and the weapon we're using kind of influences that, and I guess we can get into that a little bit later, but her first and her second skills, I use those quite a bit. We have it to where it cools down really fast and it feels pretty good. Now the interesting thing about her second skill that I didn't know, because I didn't really listen to it on the live stream, is for us it's the C button, but that would be the second skill. I don't know what it is on controller. You hit it once and she just kind of goes up and down. But if you hit it a second time when you're in the air, she can like fly forward. And that's actually pretty cool. And I use that mostly to move. And her third skill is like that circle of talks. That works really well. If they're not super strong, it just melts them. That's really strong. And you always are getting it back because if you melee, you're just building up that tox bar. So you basically can be in it all the time. You just have to remember to keep hitting it like Bunny, I guess. And her fourth skill, I don't use that too much. I'm sure it's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad skill. It feels much more single target. I know there's a Transcendent card that can change it, but I don't use it much. I use the 1, 2, and 3 mostly. And then we use the sword for her weapon.
The way I was using it, and it was thanks to Mister that I figured this out, I'm used to moving a character with the moving keys, nothing else. Since she have this like boost with melee weapons, we try to use the sword with her. And since you can't really move with the swords, it's like you're stuck in place and you have to swing, and that's one of the things we didn't like about the swords. We are using her Q to basically move around the different enemies, and once in a while when I'm really surrounded by enemies or I want to move farther, I use my second skill to get up in the air and kind of like dive in like we did you used to do with Kyle back then.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what I'm doing, because with the Shadow Sword, that locks on and can kind of move and it creates toe. Yeah. But we were using the Manus, and what's interesting about the Deus Ex Manus, you kind of get stuck in place, and if you're getting overwhelmed, you can't really move. So yes, I use the Q to hit them, but the Q also, you don't have to even eliminate anything. If you just hit them, you're bringing ammo back into that sword. That sword, that ammo penalty does not matter anymore.
No.
We were also using the lab, the dog,
I
which
was always
does help,
full.
but that ammo penalty does not matter anymore if you have the Q. You just hit them and you're constantly getting it back. I was almost always full on ammo. So I use the Q to get ammo back, also to create some space and to move because it kind of locks on. But I actually use the second skill quite a bit because I hit it twice. So I double tap it in the air to move. We have a pretty good cooldown, and that creates a really big stun as well. And then also always being in your third skill because you're just melting them for the most part. And if it's really strong, like the new dungeon, it may not melt them, but it makes them weak enough that it's like one sword hit or one Q or whatever, and it's not a big deal. She was those first three skills are kind of the bread and butter for how we were using her, but I use the skills a lot just to move, create space, get ammo back, and then use the sword.
Another thing I noticed though with the Q, if you jump and press the Q, you basically almost can fly if you spam it. Like you're punching, and you're constantly in the air. So if you're struggling to like reach something like the boss or the enemies that you have to kill, you can kind of get them with the spamming of the first skill. One thing we noticed though, when we were trying to like put some catalyst on her to at least have some budget build to make it work, if you don't have an expansion card and you press her second skill, unless you're literally hitting the enemy you're trying to land on, and it's kind of hard to control, it doesn't reach anywhere. So it's important that you guys get some kind of like expansion module for that. And if you're like me and you're out of control and you spam skills, you can follow them up pretty easily.
Now, two things with Harris. She has 4 Transcendent cards. She has 2 Ancestors and 2 regular ones. Now, I know one of those will change her 4 skill, and maybe we'll do it eventually for a different build or whatever, but we're not even done with this one. I don't know. We're not really using one of the Pioneer's Resolution. That's the Ancestors card. I guess, no, she has 3. I have 2, though. I have 2 different ones.
Oh.
That probably would be worth it, but we have like 3 catalysts in. So, I mean, maybe eventually we'll use it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I don't know if Harris would feel as good in the game if you're using... I honestly, and I know they built her for the sword, it definitely feels like... I don't know if that was patched in later, if that was the plan the whole time, but the sword is... There was almost a little bit of fun with the Manus. I've seen or heard people talking about using the new sword because you can kind of throw it and it creates toe and stuff, but the Manus actually isn't that bad. She can get in there. We have a component set that allows us to take a lot of damage, and so getting hit isn't a big deal, but honestly, that really isn't the problem. The problem is when we're in there and you're swarmed by the enemies, you can use her skills to create space and stun and get ammo back and then use the sword. It was just the range kind of peppering you that eventually got a little bit annoying, but I was using her in the beginning with just a gun, and it didn't feel as fun. It was much more fun with the sword, a different way to play, and I think Harris is going to be really, really good. Really, really strong. And she's the only Descendant that's... Like, Glade wasn't that fun with the sword. Even with her skill to just not use ammo, it just wasn't that fun. Harris is. Because you just... It synergizes really well, bringing the ammo back, using her skills, and then never really running out of ammo and just being able to use it all the time. So Harris with the sword was actually kind of a fun, different way to play the game.
My only question though, like Mr. said, was Harris always supposed to be like this, like sword, melee, close combat? Or they made her this way because people were so unhappy with the swords, with the ammo linked to the swords, and how no fun were the swords. They were strong, but they were not fun to use. You can do 2 things. You can spam the keys like I do and go crazy and hopefully you don't follow the map and you get some fun stuff like combos. Or you can try to like learn how to use it without spamming it and can do a really good damage with that.
I mean, the 2 problems with the swords that I had were, one, the ammo penalty, and that with the shadow it wasn't ever really a problem, especially if you had the one dog with you, but the Manus ran out of ammo. I mean, it just did no matter what. It was so annoying. That was one problem, and that's fixed by being able to get it back immediately just by hitting an enemy. And 2, they swarm you so hard that in the Void Vessel 2, the Void Purge, or the new dungeon, you know, the things above Sigma Sector, they were strong enough that it took too long to kill them. And I know some people had really strong swords, but we don't. Our sword isn't even finished. Our sword has like 3 or 4 catalysts in it and energy activator. That's it. they're not that strong. It needs to be better. We know that, but getting swarmed was the other problem. We would get swarmed and they're like solid steel and you can't move. So Harris fixes that by being able to go up and go right back down, or to use her Q to create space and then passively do damage to him with her third skill. So the two things that I had a huge problem with, well, and the third one, that with the Manus, you can't really move. You just kind of sit there and swing side to side. So the three problems, I guess, that we had with the sword are kind of fixed with Harris, and they make them more fun. And I'm not sure if that was the intention from the beginning, or if that was a decision to patch into her build after they realized that we want people to use these swords, so we're going to make Harris and not force you to, but make it more enticing to use the sword.
In this channel, we care about fun over being overpowered. So I think Harris is one of those characters that we are going to enjoy using so far.
Yeah, I think Harris is going to be fun. I think it is a similar way to play, but a little bit different way to play. I, for the longest time, wanted to use a weapon when I first played the game because I just like that in video games, and then I got to where it was more efficient and lazy and easy to just use skills, and then they kind of started bringing in things where they wanted you to use the weapon instead of your skills, or your skills instead of the weapon. Harris is a little bit of both. I feel like with the sword at least, I'm using them pretty equally. I'm using the sword a lot, but I'm also using her skills a lot. So I think Harris is going to be fun, and kind of fun to try to decide how we want to exactly build her. Because I mean, we even now, with the sword not finished and Harris not finished, we can get through the new dungeon, which has some of the stronger regular just adds in the game, enemies in the game. The only problem we really run into, which you could fix that probably with the new sword, is fighting the boss at the end, his second phase. The first phase, no problem. Second phase is a little bit of a problem, simply because he puts those things on the ground that drain you and take your skills away. So if we can kind of get around that, it wouldn't be that bad, and it was kind of fun.
So guys, that was everything for today's video. Let us know down in the comments how you are building Harris, if you already have her or not. And thank you so much for watching.